Hi there. Hi, Ama Motherhead. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing so well. How are you, Evelyn?
I'm doing great. A little technology issues here and there, but we're live, and this is what it's all about being, using social media for communicating and sharing wonderful information like I know that we are today. So let me just, why don't you greet the audience while we're at it, and then I'll do a formal greeting.
Of course. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Ama Mothershead, and I am a mom, most importantly, and I also serve women through movement, mindfulness, and energy practices and modalities.
And I am so happy because Ama has a very special gift and purpose, and it's to work with grief. And we'll talk more about that as we move along the interview today. But good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you're tuned in from. And if you're checking the video out during the replay, please like, comment, and share with those you feel may benefit of the information that we're going to share here today. And welcome to Extraordinary Women of Guts and Grace, a podcast about compassionate, courageous leadership. And hi, I'm Evelyn Cosme, your host, a leadership strategist for your life and work, the creator of a method to improve the quality of women's lives and work to achieve happiness and success. My intention with this podcast is to highlight the contributions of women in different industries and to inspire other women to lead and the next generation of leaders. Now, I want to include those CEOs of households, those moms that are at home, those women who are amazing wearing the many hats and the many roles that they play too, because they are great leaders. Absolutely. And that's where we learn our leadership skills, actually. And in the future, I'll be talking more about that. And I hope you join me for those talks as well. Now, my guest today, you've already met her, is Mothershead. She's a somatic instructor and a life purpose coach. And I'm going to go on and read her bio, and then we'll get right into the questions because there's so much to learn about Ama and her work and how she helps and supports women. Ama Mothershead is a mom, like she mentioned, a musician, a somatic movement explorer and instructor, a NIA instructor at that, the NIA method, as well as a Reiki practitioner. As a multidimensional certified life purpose coach, she has fused together uh, these different modalities into her work to empower women all over the world. Inspired by her decade-long journey supporting her adoptive mother through the end of life, all while raising her two young children with her husband. Yay, hubby. And Amma decided that it was time to take a deeper dive and support women who have gone through grief as well. She supports those who are ready to rediscover the connection to body and mind so that they can walk forward in life with a renewed sense of self, of balance, of intention, and purpose. And Amma knows firsthand how much women give their energy away, and we all do, sadly, sometimes in excess, and is honored to stand with them as they begin their journey, their expansive journey towards greater connection, the ease and empowerment as they transform grief into a meaningful and purposeful life. So, Amma, let's get to the questions.
I'm ready.
Okay. Now, what did you want to be when you grew up, young lady? What was it that Ama played at? Does it connect at all with who Ama has become and how you're showing up in the world for other women and your family?
Oh my goodness. So I wanted to be a pilot.
Oh,
Wanted to fly. I grew up flying from the United States to France every year and flew all over the world with my mom. And so I loved this freedom, this of flying and being in the air and going over all of these countries so fast. I just loved that expansive nature of flying. And I was quite serious. I was looking into joining the Air Force, learning how to fly, becoming the whole thing. And the journey said, no, this is not quite right, but we're going to keep that idea of flying in you. And it really has. It's, for me, I've always just loved this sense of soaring even through the challenges, and picking myself up and soaring again like a phoenix rising.
I love
And
that.
yeah, so that's, I wanted to be a pilot, but it means so much more than just hopping on a plane.
So what was it that took you to France and you were back and forth? What is it about your origin and your roots that occurred in the first place?
Sure. Well, I am originally from a little teeny tiny island near Bora Bora in the South
Oh,
Pacific. So I am a dual citizen of, I was French. My French was my first language. And I was adopted by my dear and inspirational adoptive mother, who happened to be Franco-American.
okay.
And so I grew up here in the Midwest, but we also had a home and a lot of family in France. And so we flew back and forth every single year for many, 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 many years.
Yeah, I can understand your fascination with flying and traveling,
Mhm.
and it is exciting. That's one of my favorite things to do as well because you enrich your life with different people, customs, foods, and it's just such an exciting part of life to be able to travel because you grow so much and you gain a different perspective about the world and other people, and your world is not so much about yourself only, and you can kind of like perceive how everybody's so connected. I believe also we all want to be happy, we all want to be joyful, we want to have peace, we want to be happy with our work and feel successful. Now with all of that experience flying back and forth, and I loved the phoenix analogy because with everything that women do in terms of being multi-passionate, we are constantly putting ourselves out there with the different tasks that we take on in a male-dominated environment, And so sometimes the suit feels right, sometimes it doesn't, but we go on and do it anyway. So of that, what what actually happened in your life that you decided not to become a pilot and you realized that you had another means to soar and to transform and transmute that desire into something else? Share with us.
So the other half of myself, which is a huge half of myself, is um, I was a dancer. I started ballet when I was 5 years old. I was also a musician and am a musician and still a dancer. But I started those at the age of 5, both of them. And that gave me this opportunity to discover freedom and soaring and this flexibility and mobility in not only my body from the dance, but through my voice. And that's really where, as I grew as a musician and as a mover, the pilot thing was great. But the dance and the movement and all of that kept me on the ground, and I realized, oh, hold on a second, I can do this down here. I did not have the math skills to become a pilot. Let's just be very clear.
It
I
does
discovered
require that.
Yeah, I discovered that real fast. And but that I just, as I grew in those modalities, I realized I can soar right down here.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Now, what were your initial experiences with music and with movement? How did you get into it? Did your mom support that process? Because our families lots of times can either help us expand or hinder our expansion in different ways. What was your case?
My case was full expansion. I got into it. I live near a university town, the University of
Oh,
Iowa, so Iowa City. And so we have access to some beautiful programs in the arts and in culture and all of that, including dance and music. And so my mom, and I remember vividly, she took me everywhere, every rehearsal. She was at every dress rehearsal, all the concerts, all the performances. She was my backbone because it was just me and her. And so we were a team. And so she just, I think, in a way, lived through me. She was older when she adopted me, and so she could allow her imagination to flow as well as I grew, and she watched me expand. And so I was very, very lucky.
and that is a blessing. We have a family member who's very close who adopted a child, and we were so excited with the process, just waiting to hear. And when she brought the baby home with her husband and everything, and it was such an exciting thing. And I've seen how her life has expanded, and her husband's with the child in their life, and it has definitely made an impact for them and for us because we're all part of that, process and the relationship that we have with them. So I can imagine, and putting myself in those shoes, how old were you when you were adopted?
I was 4 months old, and
Oh,
she was 57.
oh my goodness. Wow. Talking about ageless power and energy. I love that she went for it. She
Mhm.
really wanted you. How wonderful to
Mhm.
be so loved and desired and appreciated. Oh my goodness. And she gave the best she had. I mean, at 57, there was a level of maturity. She had a career as a professor, and she had so much to give you. And it's you were both lucky to have each other. So lucky. But I would imagine you being so young when she adopted you, that age gap was so huge. And we'll talk more about that later as we go in and speak a little bit about grief
Mhm.
and that process and how you help women with that process. Now, right now, we're living in times of great transition. They're very exciting, to say the least. Um, I view it that way because it's like, oh my God, it's so uncertain. We don't know what can happen the next moment. So we all need to be on our toes, and we all need to be more than ever embodied. We need to be in our bodies. We need to be able to connect our mind and our bodies, because if we're thinking all the time, it's one thing. If we're acting all the time, and it's separate. What Talk to us about the importance in this time in history to be able to embrace and achieve that mind body connection for your life and for success in all the aspects that are important in a woman's life.
What a beautiful question. This this time in our lives, we are not only asked to remain physically distant from each other, but there's also with that distancing, it for many people has felt like this turtle shell, like this, right? We're feeling stuck, like, oh, well, I don't feel comfortable going out there. And so I've noticed with my work, I've noticed a lot of people are not moving as much. They, they've moved a certain way, maybe with people outside or in a fitness center or whatever. And all of a sudden it's like, I'm by myself. Now what do I do? We're also in front of these screens. This has really opened up connection via the internet, which has been brilliant. Evelyn and I, we don't live anywhere near each other, yet we are here.
That's wonderful.
Yes. And yet here we are. This can be exhausting, right?
Yes.
There's this fatigue, this internet fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
As more and more people are going, well, what can I do now? They're pivoting. They're in, a lot of people I've seen are in this creative mode, which brings people here in this gorgeous headspace that is so, so important. And then we find that our bodies are like, hello, what about me? And so I've heard of people saying, wow, my neck is really, oh my gosh, I'm feeling this tension here. I've never felt this before. Why is my wrist hurting? We are sitting in positions for a much longer period of time that we should not be sitting in. And so there's a lot of aspects. And so inviting ourselves to start moving consistently, like take 50 minutes and then take a 10-minute break, and then work for another 50 minutes and then take a 10-minute break. Mm-hmm. And this isn't just during this time that we're in. This is any time, especially if you're here or even in an office, reminding that the body is definitely needing attention and learning to listen to the body's cues, because it cues very, very quietly at times. And all of a sudden it goes, why haven't you been listening to me, right? And so, so just this invitation to always come back and tap in and tap in and tap in, and you will discover greater ease in your work, a greater sense of balance. And that's really how wonderful to have comfort and ease while you're doing something that you absolutely love to do. So
I appreciate that tip, because people don't realize that standing up and moving, and there's so many different movements that we can do even while sitting, standing, walking. I myself, when I'm online all day, I have to take that break, and I hear you. I go for a walk. It's a 2-3 mile walk, and it's wonderful, and it just clears my head, and I get back into my body, and I feel my injuries, my legs. I breathe, because it's the one place I don't need to use a mask, because, it's open space. I'm near a cattle farm, and there's I didn't know there were that many breeds of cattle. Oh my goodness. We even have donkeys there. And so it's fun, because I walk by and they stop eating grass, and then they follow me. And it's so fun. It's so fun. So it's a fun part of my day to take that break. And then I squeeze it in either in the morning, in the afternoon, depending on what my schedule is looking like. But I really make that effort, because that's for me. That's the self-care that I need. Now, you mentioned an important point there. We are on the internet constantly. And although it's wonderful, but there is that fatigue factor, because the emanation of any type of electronics that come to us do fatigue us, whether it's television, whether it's being on a computer, gaming, etc. So it's so important to take that break. And I would add on a tip to, when you're done with your electronics, cover them up with something. and especially if you have them in your bedroom or in a space that you are constantly in, cover them up with something. TVs can be covered up with a nice screen or something else. And that's something I've read that's very positive for your body, and to kind of like avoid that getting impacted so directly from the electronics. But yes, they are wonderful. Now, I wanted to ask you, and I've been taking notes while you're speaking, because one of the things that happens when we don't move, it's completely connected to social engagement most of the time. And we think of movement only for social engagement, getting out of the house, meeting friends, doing this, doing that. And it is really important. And with everything going on, we are becoming more isolated, and we're kind of like losing that social skill set, of interacting and whatnot. So share with us ways that we can include movement in our interactions with others. What are tips or ways that we can do that?
Sure. Well, I have heard, and maybe you have heard of this as well, people are beginning to form walking groups where they can just walk at a distance from each other as long as there's space. And I have noticed groups, if there are, we have a big field, there's my daughter's school is next door. And so in the evening when school's over, there are groups. It's funny because they're like in this long line, just walking up the field, and they're doing it safely. And so people are starting to become very creative in how they can move with others while still being safe. And, if you are home and you can't be with somebody else, even just sitting in your chair and starting to roll the shoulders and beginning the movement from the head all the way down the body, rolling the shoulders, bending the elbows, because these elbows
Yes,
like to be like this. And so allowing, stretching ever so gently, wiggling all 10 fingers is a wonderful way of including movement. I mean, it's very simple. I think we are maybe we're being programmed to think that movement has to be exercise, and if I don't lift weights and I don't do it this way, or I don't do that I'm not moving. But you can include even backing your chair up and standing up and sitting down, standing up and sitting down. So there's a lot of ways that you can move at home, that at least by yourself, that isn't going to involve having to get your yoga mat out or having to clear a space to dance all over the place.
Yes.
Now there's a mat. I have a whole dance floor right underneath me. You don't need that at all. Even leaning back just leaning back, just allowing yourself to lean back and allowing the spine. This is a big issue. And
How
this
so?
head is very heavy.
Oh.
Not only heavy in thoughts, it is physically a bowling ball on the top of your spine. And so including myself, I catch myself going like this if I'm not. So keeping the posture up here. Evelyn, you have a beautiful chair right there where you can lean back a little bit and let the head literally rest for a while. Getting the computer up high. My computer right now is a little low for me. I can't find my other little block, but I have my computer up so that I'm actually looking up and allowing my head to sit more comfortably on the spine. The spine is meant to support, but it's not meant to do this.
Okay, of course not. Yes.
Yeah. So those are just very simple ways that you can move, at least inside, or of course going outside, calling up your friends, go for that distant walk. I know people who have been cross-country skiing. We have 2 feet of snow. So it's all melting finally, but so they're cross-country skiing, and getting outside is such an important thing to do. It's outside. It allows all the things to fly away. So I would honestly say get outside as much as you can, even if you're just going around the block.
I hear you. And like I said, I do that a lot, and I'm starting to suggest to people to do the same. People are developing a lot of brain fog also. And we need to get clear lots of times to make decisions for our work, for our life, for our families. And that's a great transition into my next question. Talking about women, moms, and just women in general, who are always juggling so much in their lives, multi-passionate, tackling different things from the moment they wake up in the morning, whether it's getting the kids ready for school, even if they're being homeschooled. And that's a whole other story too now as well. And if you have a partner, dealing with your partner in the morning as well, and making sure everybody's out the door or where they need to be in the house if they're all working from home somehow. If you have pets, that's another thing. If you have plants, that's another thing, making sure if you're in cold weather that they're safe and they'll be able to endure the weather. I mean, shopping, putting groceries away, planning meals, dishes, laundry, picking up children at different events or taking them and having to stay there while you're at it too, to supervise and to monitor. And it's just on and on top of that, we have to try and look good too, Ama. Oh my God.
I'm exhausted just listening to you.
Ama, how can women improve their energy with movement and with the mind-body connection? We're all needing it. No matter what stage in your life you are,
yes.
Whether you're a young mom, whether you're in college, whether you're working, you're an executive at a company, you're a business owner, you're a leader at a philanthropic or religious organization. I mean, it doesn't matter. Women need to know what you have to say at this moment, Ama. Go right ahead.
Oh. It starts in the morning. It can also start at night. Okay. Meaning, so there are these bookends. And let's begin in the morning. This is an invitation to all of the women who are hearing this. Give yourself permission to open your eyes and just stay there. just stay there. This is actually not, I don't want you to move. I invite you to stay there or sit up so you don't fall back asleep. That has happened.
That's the other thing.
Yeah, that's the other, yeah.
So no jumping out of the bed immediately.
No. And that is a big lesson. I was, everything that you said I was doing pre-COVID. I mean, it was, and when I started this, it's a mindfulness morning practice. You're sitting up and you're just, oh, I'm so grateful that I'm up and my eyes are awake. It's giving yourself a moment of gratitude for yourself. People don't usually say, high five, you got your son up on time, right? There aren't people like cheering you on.
Nope.
They're not like, oh my gosh, your daughter brushed her teeth. Yes, right. That's it. They cheer you on for the big things that they see. But there are all these little things that are happening within a woman's life. Now, I know I'm just talking from a mom's perspective, but even if you don't have kids,
right,
you can still jump out of bed with your to-do list that is a gazillion pages long.
Yes. And people do have different responsibilities. For
Absolutely.
instance, in your case, you were caring for your mom, your adoptive mom, for what, how many years?
10.
10, and raising your children. And
Yeah.
there are people that are going through that right now. Their parents are aging or have become ill and are having to step up to the plate, to be there more often, to call more often, and to just be aware of all the health issues and their safety. And especially now with COVID, the isolation's even greater. You know, for the elderly, having pets is a big responsibility too, because they're part of the family, whether you have children or not. You know, and a lot of people do things in the community as well and have important commitments. Just staying alive is important and is a huge thing. And keeping your mind sane.
It's huge. And that's why I always invite my friends and my students and to just that sitting up and sitting in gratitude for just a few minutes, just sitting up and really just going through, wow, I am so grateful right now. So grateful for this. Not the list of to-dos, but what are you really grateful for? And setting an intention, that not the goals, not like these are my goals. What is your intention for the day? How do you want to show up? How do you want to walk through your day, knowing that anything can happen at any time and allowing that to, but just putting the intention out there. Today, my intention is to breathe. And my intention is to breathe deeply, especially if something stressful comes up. Something like that, anything to really allow your mind to go, aha, and to allow your body to go, oh, I like that. And, you know, and when you get up, this is another invitation for women. I can go flying out of bed if I need to, but a lot of times now I get up and I literally, even in bed, I'm wiggling my fingers, my toes, my ankles, my wrists, my knees. I'm saying, you know, I'm allowing my body to say, oh yes, you know that I'm still here, thank you. And moving and acknowledging, because that's very helpful to be able to sense tension that we might not be sensing when we're just living from this gorgeous headspace. And I mean, if we just go, it's very easy for many people to not sense it and to not feel it until it's too late. So this morning wiggle, your body will go, haha, there's this right here. And then you can decide, what do you want to do? Do you know, ooh, I need to be very mindful with this arm, or ooh, I really just need to stretch that out. So intentionally waking up every morning, it's a practice. It's not about perfection. None of this is about perfection ever. It's the practice. It's the journey. It's understanding that seeds take time and nurturing and the right ingredients and nutrition and sun and all of that for it to grow.
And it's so important even to get the family on board. If you live by yourself, it's easy, or even with a roommate, etc., because you have your separate spaces. But when you have a family, how do you get your family involved in that process? Even if they don't practice it for themselves, but they respect, oh, mommy's doing her thing, you know, mommy's taking that time out. And that brings me to many moons ago when I had my own son and working with trauma, crisis, and life transitions with people. At the end of the day, I was like, needing a plug-in, you know, and I would just say, mom's just going to rest a few minutes, you know. And he'd come back every few seconds and say, are the few minutes over? Are the few... So with young children, it's very difficult. But trust me, if you train, if you and even involve them in that process, they can benefit from it as well. So talk about, you said it was the bookends. What's the evening process like? Share that.
Yes, the evening process, like, it is going backwards from the way you woke up. So coming in, I love what you said about putting the electronics away, hiding them or covering them so they're out of sight, out of mind.
Mhm.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful way to have closure for the day.
Yes.
I love that. And then allowing yourself when you're, ready for bed to wiggle yourself back into bed and to sense, all right, how did my body do today? Or is there anything in there? Just a recognition, not with any judgment or anything, like just a recognition and acknowledgement that, yep, everything is good. Okay. And then sitting and just breathing. And again, allowing yourself maybe to go through some gratitudes like, wow, I'm so grateful for this today. And wow, this was challenging. However, I made it through. Acknowledging the things that you did is a beautiful way to just to let it go. I use the 3 R's: relaxing, releasing, and the sleep part is renewing. We have to
Absolutely.
renew our batteries. It's like plugging in that Tesla, right? That Tesla, if you don't plug it in, it's not going to work after a while. So that allowing of I am ready to rest, I'm ready to relax, I'm just ready to renew.
And it's embracing that moment of rest. Sometimes we're so exhausted that we don't have any kind of ritual before, and it's a wonderful bedtime ritual that you've just shared. So that means, ladies, you cannot be thinking, oh my God, I have to lose weight. Oh my God, look at this, or whatever. It's about the goodness and wholesomeness about the body, and acknowledging it and celebrating. It still works somehow, some way. I was able to do this or that. Thank you, Ama. That was wonderful. And I do agree with you. Rituals are so important. And I'm just calling them rituals. You can call it whatever you like. But it is a parenthesis that's so important. And you can create even one midday and stop and think. You can meditate. A lot of people pray. A lot of people read positive affirmations or listen to music. And we're going to talk about music too today. So it is opening up to all these modalities that you're sharing, and understanding that they're available for everyone. Now, can you adjust these modalities? Some people have injuries. Some people, experience some things with their body that doesn't allow them maybe to stretch out an arm. Talk about that.
Absolutely. One of the most important things that people can do with movement is to always make sure that your body is saying yes. To always make sure that you are moving in a way that you are creating comfort and ease in your body. So everyone is going to stretch differently, move differently. So honoring that if your arm can't stretch out, well, I have a what I call tennis shoulder, for example. So my shoulder doesn't always want to go up. And so I honor that and go, oh, well, if it doesn't want to go up, how about maybe stretching down or in
Really?
front
Oh,
of me? So there are always ways, and they're unique to your body. That's incredibly important. So if you're let's say taking a fitness dance class or something, and you see the instructor who's like 18 years old going, you don't have to do that.
thank you.
You don't have to look. If anything, please don't try to look like the person, making sure that your body is like, oh, yes, okay, this is much better. So always, always listen for the yes in the body. If there's any pain, gently back out and don't do that move again. If there's discomfort, find a different way. There's always a different way that the body can move where it's like, oh, yes, this is much better. Thank you.
And I love that. You gave us permission to not have to do it like the instructor. Or sometimes we watch videos, especially now online. A lot of people are doing different things and they're injuring themselves because they are trying to mimic what the instructor is doing. But I do feel a lot of instructors are quite reasonable and do mention, do what you can, you know. Hopefully most of them do, but I appreciate that you're mentioning that today for our listeners. Now, NIA movement, it's modality. What exactly is, you're certified as a NIA instructor. So share a little bit more about that and how that plays a role in the work that you do with women, especially, and ultimately in helping them through grief.
Mm. So the NIA technique is something that's been around for about, gosh, we're going on 3 decades. But yeah, it's about 30 years or so. And the most important thing to take away from it is that it is a blend of dance arts, martial arts, and mindful practices, mindful movement. However, we are these guides for our students so that they can find the joy of movement in their body. Just as I said, this yes in the body. Now, when I say joy, some people go, ooh, but I'm not joyful right now. May I share, may I transition a little bit into my story with my mom?
Absolutely. I think it's a great story, and it tells the story why you do what you do. And it's such a beautiful reason and connection and purpose that you have in life. Go right ahead.
Well, I'll just do a little bit of the story. So about 2005 or so, we noticed that my mother's health and overall well-being was beginning to spiral and roller coaster a bit. And
I'm sorry, how old was she when that started, that stage of her life?
How old was she? She was 83-ish, somewhere in there. And we were entering, I was entering my 30s, and I found out that I was pregnant with our first child, our daughter, in 2006. That's when the roller coaster started to go out of control. And it was 10 years. I had my daughter in 2007, our son in 2009.
Wow.
So you can imagine babies, literally babies.
Goodness.
And my mom's health, which I won't get into the details, but it was all over the place. It was especially disconnected mind to body. And it was a lot. It was a lot. And when she passed, and she passed very peacefully, she had lunch, she had her coffee, and she was in a safe space. She was in a beautiful care facility, and we loved the staff. And yeah, lunch, coffee, and she took her nap. And I could not, after 10 years of all over the place with doctors and ER visits and this and that and the other, and just so many things with bills. The bills for elder care is astronomical.
Extreme.
It's extreme. And the phone calls that I would have to endure, and just she passed so peacefully, and that was like, oh. So by then I was already a NIA instructor, and here I am teaching the joy of movement, yet I am in the darkest place I've ever been in my life. And I've been through a few dark places before. And to be able to still be with this joy of movement while going through this extreme sadness and loss, yet relief, in a way, I was like, oh, I can finally put my attention to my kids, right? And then there's the guilt of, I haven't been with my kids in 10 years. I barely have any baby pictures, hardly any.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty extreme. And so the ones that I do have, I cherish.
Of course.
And
Yes.
but that movement, this um this invitation to move this grief, because grief is an energy.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
It's so energetically powerful. And when you move it and you put it in your dance or your singing or this modality that really speaks to you, it could be in your art, it could be in your writing. My modalities are music and movement. And to use that to move it through got me through and allowed me to have a different relationship. I befriended grief in a very different way. It wasn't, oh, this is a bad thing. I realized this is an energetic moment which will come back over and over and over again. Let me become friends with it. Let me move it. Let me dance it. And so that really transformed me as a person. It transformed my teaching. For a while, I actually was like, ooh, I don't know if I want to teach right now. I did step away from singing for a while because I really was so focused on movement. I had to step away from singing. Movement was really my jam. It still is. And it took some time, and now those singing, will slowly come back. But that's what has brought me to where I am now. I see Nia and movement in general, much more than just this thing that you do for 50 minutes every day to make yourself feel better. Yes, you'll feel better, but there's so much more now. And now, stepping into the work where I can hold space, especially holding space for my dear sandwich generation women. So those in, the Gen X, Zennial, kind of midlife, where it's like, why am I going through this already? I have kids I'm raising, but now I have to help what's happening. And so this is something that just sits so deeply within me in a good way. It scared the heck out of me. I'm not going to lie. To really step into
can't imagine
space for that. And thanks to Evelyn, actually, for witnessing that and seeing that. It's like, oh, wow. Like, how can I not hold space for women who are very, have had similar situations? Grief is very unique for every single person.
Of course.
Absolutely. But there is that community. It's very lonely. Even if you have a whole bunch of people around you, you can feel incredibly lonely. So
totally. Yes.
To have, like, oh, I'm so sorry, or oh, my condolences, when they haven't stepped in yet, which is totally okay.
Yes.
I'm so grateful when people say they're sorry. It's just like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. But there's also this element of, oh my gosh, you don't know yet, do you? You haven't been there. So how, like holding space for people who just want to find that community. Yeah.
And I want to share with you, having been through that, I lost my dad, and I have friends and family members who have lost important people in their lives. Don't doubt that even if you don't have a relationship with that person, or the relationship is not positive, I want you to consider this process that Ama is sharing, and that she's an expert at in helping people move this grief, because it doesn't matter the quality of the relationship that you have with the person, you are left with the whole. You are left with a gap in your spirit and your being, and you don't realize it until it actually happens. And if you did not go through the process of healing, of having some understanding of what that person's role in your life was, it's going to be of great impact even their absence, you know. So definitely reach out to Ama to work through these things. And what I want to share with you, remember, Ama is a coach. She's got 10 years experience of coaching as well as a life purpose coach. So she integrates all these aspects of herself. And right now you're finishing a certification. And I want you to share that too, because it adds to everything that you do, the discipline, the mindset of helping people heal and creating that connection. What you're doing now, this additional step in your training, because this is really important. We never should stop learning, and that's what I love about Ama. She's got all her experience singing and music. And with movement, but she continues to add some tools to her kit, and she can pull out whatever she needs when she wants to. Share about this educational piece that you're going through right now.
Thank you. Yeah, I am in the process of doing my Nia brown belt, and Nia is belted like in martial arts. And
Oh,
this brown belt is the art of energy. And so what
oh,
beautiful timing where I can really gain more insight on how we can dance with energy, and not just physically dance, just in life. Energy flows through us, it's around us. There's no negative or positive energy. Those are the labels that we put on it to make sense in our head, but
mhm.
it's a flow. And just to always deepen my experience with it, I feel like I am just, the more I learn, the less I know. It's so true. I always allow myself to go back into this embryonic, this beginner's mind. When I hold space for people, for example, I'm not super far ahead from anybody else. I'm right here with you on this journey. And so, yeah, the brown belt has really, it's been incredibly beautiful thus far. It goes until April, so I have a ways to go, but yes, it's been wonderful.
So I'm just fascinated by what you do because I think it's so important. The mind-body connection has been proven scientifically to have great importance for your well-being, mental, emotional, and spiritual as well. And we are coming to an end, and I still have so many more questions. So let me ask you, name two people who have been the most influential for you and why, very briefly, because unless you could stay on a few minutes, but I want to respect your time.
Two people. My mother, my
Of course.
adopted mother, of course. She was known as the French Bulldog. Was incredibly independent, did not let people talk over her. She was very stubborn, but she,
in a good way.
yeah, we did not. Evelyn, I'm going back to this real quick, where you said, it doesn't, even people that you didn't get along with. My mom and I did not always get along with each other.
Yes.
And we had a season in our lives where I was like, wow, no. And then I realized, oh, okay. And yes, my mother, 100%. And then the second person, oh, there's so many. The second person I would honestly say would be my husband.
Oh.
And I'm not saying this because he's going to watch this later.
Of course.
But my husband, he is, there's a lot of opposites, the way he thinks, the way I think, but yet he was there for me through thick and thin. He serves, he's a paramedic, he's a 20-year paramedic on the streets.
Wow.
And just serves and serves and serves. And so I am so inspired by how he walks through life. So yes, I would say my mom and my husband.
What a blessing that having been adopted, you found a woman that taught you to lead your life and to help other women lead their lives as well, in wellness and connected to their minds and their bodies. She offered you opportunities that were amazing, the traveling, learning a different language and customs, and the food, I imagine, is wonderful. And then your husband, having found a life partner, and it's like you said, there will be differences. Hallelujah for the differences. They add texture, and depth to life, you know. But you've been able to find that common ground, and the most important thing is appreciating and acknowledging the wonderful qualities and attributes of a partner. And I'm so glad that you have each other during that very difficult time. And now that you're expanding so much more your business, he's very active helping others, and I hope he's safe and well with his work. Now, to close up, give us a tip or two for women, strategies on the mindset that works for you to be successful and to get things done with all of the things you're juggling constantly.
When you sense resistance bubbling up, please sit with that resistance and know that behind that could be something so expansive. And we allow ourselves, many of us allow ourselves to be stopped by resistance and go, oh, nope. But through that resistance and going through something that really like, oh, this feels so uncomfortable and I'm really scared, could be something so expansive. I mean, I'm going through that right now. And, you know, going through that and stepping into holding space for the women who have gone through and want to learn with movement how to move grief and whatnot. But I was very, very resistant to it because it scared the heck out of me. However, when you do, if your dreams aren't scaring you, just maybe you're not dreaming big enough.
I hear you. I love that. I love that. And I agree with you. I've been through it myself. We all have been at some point or another. And I love that tip that you gave about sitting with it and processing it, and hopefully learning how to move that energy that can be stagnant and can delay your greatness, can delay you reaching your purpose and achieving just daily tasks. You know, it can be the simple things too that are dreadful to do and uncomfortable. Now, share with the audience, please, any information about any upcoming program. I know you're in the process of developing your own method for managing and helping people work through grief, which I'm really excited to learn about. And maybe we can talk more about it once that's all said and done. But you're still providing services to help women with grief. You're just expanding how it's going to be processed and the different offerings you'll be sharing. So share with us right now what's currently going on. How can they reach you?
Sure. Well, I have a brand new Facebook group, private Facebook group that is launching right now at this very moment. I haven't shared it with anybody. It has sat.
First here. Wonderful.
First, and because I finally went through that resistance, it is called Sorrow to Soaring.
Ooh, I love it.
And this is for women, my beautiful men out there. For now, I'm not opening it up. Maybe in the future, I need to do one step at a time. It's called Sorrow to Soaring, and it literally has one person right now, which is me. I'm the only person. And so that is where you can follow me and join the group if you are needing support and needing to be held in this this walk with your grief. It's a journey, and you're wanting to use movement and mindfulness modalities in addition to any professional help that you are seeking through a therapist, because I'm not a therapist. So that's incredibly important to understand that this is an additional tool to your journey. Now, if you're not, if you're not in that space, but you still want to connect, you can go over to my other private Facebook group, which is called The Radiant Circle. And that is a more generalized movement mindfulness group for those who don't need this beautiful safe container of the grief journey. So I have two places.
Thank you. And what I'd like to share is you'll give me the links and I'll post them right below this video so people can choose which of the two or the two groups if they feel, you know, that it resonates with them, either one of them. And we'll be posting that. Are people able to make appointments with you at this time? Do you have slots open?
Not this time, not right now. This
Okay.
I had a technical issue with my calendaring system. So, but you could always just connect with me and say, hey, and then we can just do it the old school way of getting our calendars out and doing it.
Hey, that works too. That's wonderful. So we are definitely at the end of this episode. And Ama, thank you so much for all of your, yeah, it was delightful hearing your story and how your purpose came to be with that moment of grief and how you transformed it and made it something beautiful to help other women who are in the same space. And I know so many people will probably reach out to you, so get ready for that. And would you like to say some words before I sign off with the audience?
Evelyn, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for holding such beautiful space for this time together. I'm incredibly grateful and honored to be with you, and to everybody watching. May you stay well, keep moving and grooving, and listen for that yes in your body.
And again here, thank you, Ama Mothershead, the somatic instructor and life purpose coach, who's here to help with any of your concerns or issues with grief. Please reach out to her. I just want to announce that I'm almost ready to launch all of the systems. So hopefully by next week, beginning of March, I'll be launching quite a few different things, and I'm excited about that. It's National Women's Month also. It's my birthday next month too. So that's why I've kind of like moved everything for March. And I hope you're all here to join me to celebrate women, all colors, all creeds, all races, ethnicities, and the grandeur of women and how wonderful we each can be. Thanks again, Ama, and I appreciate your time, and I wish you so much success with movement and your coaching practice. And as I always sign off, much self-love, much compassion for yourself, and benevolence. You deserve it, and I deserve it, and everybody around us deserves it too. Keep the peace. It's so important at this time. Thank you so much, Ama. It was great talking to you. We'll talk again. Take care. Call me. Bye.